It's no surprise that Zoom's use has exploded during this pandemic. But is it trustworthy?
Up at 5:30, I'll tell you about this whiny baby Trump balloon and how it got here. Live in downtown Lexington, this hill I'm walking up on Old Way Road when a driver crashed head-on into a family of 5. Now this here is Brody, and he is one of the awesome dogs that you can take out for the Check Me Out program. They told her they were out of town, but to come out and see the property for themselves, and when they saw the for sale sign in the yard, to ignore it because it was indeed for rent. New law went into effect Thursday that would allow electric scooters like this one to operate pretty much like bicycles. But we visited the restaurant during hours it would be open, and we found that the doors were locked. But Solid Blue fans are already starting to head into Tin Roof Bar off South Limestone. Now this is where fans are going to start funneling in. We're told a little closer to game time. The line is expected to be all the way down the block. Taking your smartphone, putting it up against the chip, you might have to slide it around for it to take. Then it will bring you to a secure website where you can click on the amount you would like to give. The Secretary of State says 2 things can happen now. One of them happened earlier today when her office received a written recanvass request from Governor Matt Bevin.
He's such a good boy.
A good boy who doesn't need to hear or even see someone to love them.
Seeing the world with your heart rather than your eyes.
Because get this, 10-year-old Willow can't see or hear. He's both blind and deaf, which made his first owner give him up.
Love you.
Which made Elizabeth Sloan love him all the more.
He's been the easiest dog. I think it was just finding the right owner.
Willow was rescued from a puppy mill. His disabilities caused by poor breeding.
You know, dogs forget and forgive.
Despite a difficult start to life, Willow still wants to work, which is in his blood as an Australian Shepherd. But his job isn't typical, like herding sheep.
Ah, buddy.
He's a therapy dog.
Oh, you're so pretty.
Willow visits nursing homes.
I got something in my head.
And patients at hospitals.
I went on. You doing good?
Oh my gosh, as soon as Willow walks in, their face lights up and smiles. Just like it makes me smile right now just thinking about him.
He also joins after-school programs, so kids who struggle with reading aloud can practice on him with no judgment. I think he gets it. Things don't come so easily to him either.
It helps them build up their confidence and gets them encouraged to read and develop better reading skills.
One of Willow's best buds, a Purple Heart World War II veteran, Willow visits at home.
You make me so happy. You make me so happy.
He can't see or even hear how happy he makes people, which shows he doesn't do it to be praised.
He's just a great dog.
But something tells me he knows just how much of a difference he's making in their lives. Whether it's an 8-year-old kid who struggles reading or a 96-year-old war vet who's in and out of the hospital.
Yeah, that's amazing.
If only we could all see the world like Willow does. Christy Bollinger, ABC 36 News. A wife, a mother of 3. Family is important to Shelby Martin, and now her family is growing.
It's just really hard to watch people go through what they're going through. It's hard on us because we're kind of like their families right now, and because their families can't be here with them.
Martin is one of the only people allowed inside the rooms of patients with COVID-19. She's there even when their families can't be, because the disease is so easily spread. She's keeping people alive, helping them breathe and fight fear.
Either by holding their hand, praying with them, or even, making them feel better about what's going on.
In her 20-year career as a respiratory therapist at UK Healthcare, she has never seen anything like this. People with even mild cases of COVID-19 struggle to breathe. Can you think of anything scarier than having to gasp for breath? Martin says patients' breathing can deteriorate quickly, so it's vital she's monitoring them constantly.
I'll bring them in the room, get it ready. I assist the doctor in intubation, and then also I manage the ventilator.
But her hard work and stress doesn't stop at the hospital. She continues to work at home to keep her family safe. Her kids can't even rush to hug her anymore when she walks through the door.
Before I go in my house, I take off everything out in the garage, even my shoes, and then I go straight and take a shower, and nobody comes and hugs me, talks to me, or anything till I do that.
Her husband is also fighting this disease on the front lines as a Lexington firefighter, concerned just as healthcare workers are about protective equipment. Almost 10 firefighters in Lexington have tested positive. More than a dozen are in quarantine.
It's been very stressful at our house, but I have a great support system. We pray a lot, and we're going to get through it together.
You can hear in her voice how difficult this time is.
Some days are better than others.
But she knows how important her role is, and she wants others to, too.
You have no idea how much this means to me that you're spotlighting respiratory therapists. I think sometimes we get forgotten. We're shoulder to shoulder with the doctors and the nurses all the time.
What keeps her going is knowing this is her purpose.
I was meant to be here, to be with these patients and my co-workers through all this.
Christy Bollinger, ABC 36 News.
What kind of governor do you want to be?
I want to be a caring, thoughtful, productive governor for all Kentuckians. Whether people voted for me or not, I want to do a good job by them.
Next week, Governor-elect Andy Beshear will be sworn in as the state's highest-ranking officer. I asked him what comes next after that day.
In the first 7 days that I'm governor, we're going to reorganize the Board of Education to ensure that its members support public education. We're going to restore the voting rights to all nonviolent felons that have served out their term. It's over 140,000 people. We're going to rescind the Medicaid waiver, which would remove health care from 95,000 Kentuckians. And we're going to save about $200 million while we're doing it.
Beshear says he also wants to change the tone in Frankfort. As he puts it, restore civility.
We have an opportunity to truly lead, to show people that we can be a model of civility, that when we agree, let's enjoy it and let's move forward. When we disagree, no more name calling. We don't need to make each other miserable.
He's an advocate for public education long before he ran for governor and before making promises to teachers during the campaign.
$2,000 across-the-board raise is going to be in my first budget. That's to address a teacher shortage that is hurting our students, but that's also because I believe that no teacher should be living in poverty or relative poverty by doing work we desperately need them to do.
And he's promised to protect teachers' pensions. But how is he going to do all this? And who's going to pay for it?
There's never going to be enough money for everything we need to do. So let's lead with our values. Mine start with public education. We're going to do what needs to be done to move our education system forward, to give opportunity for all our kids, to make sure we're not failing one of them.
Despite Beshear's vocal support of public education, he's been criticized for sending his own children to private school.
My kids got an opportunity that all kids should. That's to go to preschool. So my kids in preschool went to a school that my family fell in love with. And so they're going to finish out elementary there. My son's going to be going to a public middle school next year.
Beshear knows he has many challenges ahead, including how he's going to work with the Republican-controlled legislator and Attorney General's office to avoid political gridlock. And he's optimistic that can happen.
We started our initial conversations, and I think we've all agreed to wipe the slate clean. Let's start fresh, all of us, with each other, with how we interact. Let's try to do this right. I think everybody sees our opportunity here.
He says these meetings have been good, positive.
We know some areas that we'll disagree on. We don't talk about them right now. Let's establish the areas that we know we can move forward in.
And that journey begins next Tuesday at the state capitol.
I'm ready. I'm ready to get to work.
Christy Bollinger, ABC 36 News.